Alright, so this video, this I'm interested in. It's called You Were Training AI While Catching Pokemon by Nick Vogel. This guy has like 8,000 subscribers. This must be like his first video to pop off, but let's see it.
500 million people installed Pokemon Go within 60 days of its launch. At its peak, 143 million people were walking around parks, sidewalks, and parking lots, pointing their phones at buildings and statues, trying to catch digital creatures layered on top of the real world. That was 2016. It's 2026 now, and Niantic just revealed what all of that was actually worth. Recently, Niantic Spatial, the AI company Niantic spun off after selling Pokemon Go, announced a partnership with Coco Robotics, a startup that runs delivery robots in cities across the US and Europe. Those robots are now navigating sidewalks.
I can already tell where this is gonna go. I can already tell. So the walking data that your camera was probably active the whole time and everything, and it seems like Pokemon Go was training these AI to make these delivery bots better. What's up, Harmony? What's going on?
Using a visual positioning system trained on 30 billion images. 30 billion! And those images came from you. Those images came from your phone while you were catching Pokemon. Players thought the only thing at stake was a shiny Charizard at the local gym. But these players were actually building one of the
You've seen this one? Okay, word. Yeah, this guy has 8,000 subscribers. Like, basically nothing, really. So, I'm thinking this must be his big video, you know? It's a good one, hell yeah. What kind of images?
Just real-world visual data sets
that makes more sense, yeah.
in history, and nobody told them. So let's talk about what Niantic actually built, because the technology is genuinely impressive, even if the ethics are questionable.
Guy does his research, hell yeah.
Niantic's visual positioning system can pinpoint your location on a map to within a few centimeters, not using GPS, but by looking at photos of nearby buildings and landmarks. You feed it a handful of pictures of your surroundings, and it tells you exactly where you are on Earth, down to the centimeter. And the way they got there is kind of brilliant. Pokemon Go placed Pokestops and gyms at real-world landmarks.
That's
things
so
like
smart.
churches, murals,
oh my
public
god!
sculptures.
So that they know exactly like points of interest, and they have visual and GPS data on it. What the fuck, dude? This is so insidious. Honestly, I love it. Holy shit.
Storefronts. That meant millions of players were constantly pointing their phone cameras at these specific locations. Every photo came tagged with rich metadata, exact GPS coordinates, camera angle, phone
Yeah, props to them. They did play the world well. It's crazy.
Movement speed and direction, time of day, weather conditions, and more. But it goes further than that. Niantic introduced
it was the Pokemon now. Yeah, we all been caught, dude. We all been caught.
augmented reality, or AR, scan tasks. These are missions that rewarded players for scanning real-world locations to create 3D models. By 2024, they were collecting up to 1 million new scans per week. Players did this because they got in-game rewards.
Yeah, you can't even be mad. This just game-recognized game, you know?
Niantic did this because each scan was a data point in a massive spatial model. And here's what makes this dataset so uniquely powerful. The same locations were photographed by thousands of different users from different angles at different times of day in every weather condition. Google Street View sends a car down your road once every...
When this came out, I did not have a cell phone. So, like, I got my first cell phone about 5 years ago, and before that, I didn't have one with... I mean, I had a phone, but it would, like, I'd use it only on Wi-Fi on, like, the calling apps. I didn't want to have a phone out in the open at all. But when this game came out, I fucking played it for about 1 week with my girlfriend at the time's mobile hotspot on her phone. And her parents got charged so much money for that. The data was not cheap. Oh my god, but dude, people were every fucking where. They were everywhere. I only got to play it for that week, because after that I got cut off, and I never got to play it past that. But, dude, you would go to the park, and there would be 150 people running around being like, there's a Squirtle over here, there's a Squirtle! You never got to play it either. Oh, word, yeah. The trends here come a bit late. I'm still like that with phones, to be honest. I play with my ex's phone, though. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. The only reason I have a phone now is because I have to have one. You know? It's like a necessity. But that's really the only reason. It was more than playing, but yeah.
Few years with a roof-mounted
I'll walk
camera
around
at a
with them,
fixed
hell
height.
yeah.
Pokemon Go
You
had
had
millions
to.
of people capturing pedestrian-level imagery of sidewalks, building entrances, park paths, and alleyways, all places that mapping vehicles literally can't reach. And they did it
Yeah.
continuously for 8 years. Brian McClendon, the CTO of Niantic Spatial, said it plainly, quote, "We know where you're standing within several centimeters of accuracy, and
What?
most importantly, where you're looking." That's not creepy to say at all. No mapping company with a fleet of vehicles could have replicated this on the same timeline or budget at this scale. Niantic got it
No,
for free.
because you have to have willing participants. They didn't get it for free. That's not true. People fucking paid for it. People paid to do this. They didn't get this for free. They got paid to do this to people. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
free. Actually, they got paid for it. Players
Yeah,
were buying
okay.
Pokeballs while generating the training data through in-app purchases. Now here's where it gets more complicated. Let's talk about who actually owns all of this data because it's kind of a mess. In March 2025, Niantic sold its entire games division, which included Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, and Monster Hunter Now, to Scopely for $3.5 billion. And Scopely is owned by the Savvy Games Group, which is the Saudi Royal Investment Fund's gaming arm. So Pokemon Go, the game that is still collecting scan data from players right now, is now owned by Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, Niantic kept the
That's not sketchy at all. Nobody's sketched out by that. That doesn't make me have a deep existential fear or anything.
Spatial AI business and the Ingress game, rebranding the enterprise side as Niantic Spatial. So the AI model trained on 8 years of historical Pokemon Go data belongs to Niantic Spatial. And the delivery robots using that model belong to Coco Robotics. 3 different enterprises, 3 different
It's like a time machine. What happens in the US or any other big country, it happens here, but with a delay of up to 1 year, depends on the trend. I mean, honestly, so the way it works here is kind of like that too. So like something will hit the West Coast or the East Coast, and it'll get popular there, and then like a few years later, it'll get popular in the Midwest, like in the middle of America. It happens almost every time. And by the time it's popular here, it's cringe to the rest of the country most of the time. Not so much now that the internet is out and everything, but when I was a kid, that's really how it was.
countries, one dataset, built by people who thought they were playing a game. And Niantic's privacy policy? It covers all of this. Their terms of service grant broad rights to use submitted data and pass those rights to other companies. The AR scan feature was technically voluntary. Nobody forced you to scan that statue.
Which also, by the way, I did not have AR on my phone at the time, that like 1 week that I played it. Not because I didn't want to, but because my phone was literally so shitty that I couldn't activate the AR. So when I was catching Pokemon, it was on like a background of like grass and stuff and a blue sky that was all cartoony. I never once caught a Pokemon in the real world. Not once.
But it was gamified with in-game rewards, embedded in the normal flow of gameplay and presented as a fun feature, not a data contribution to a commercial geospatial product. The privacy policy itself doesn't exhaustively list what data is collected or all the purposes it's used for. It uses language like, quote, legitimate business objectives, which legally covers just about anything. And the uploaded AR imagery is reportedly anonymized during processing, but that almost doesn't matter. The valuable asset isn't your identity, it is, but it's the location data. The centimeter.
Well, to be honest, like, to be true, identity means very little these days. Like, I know it's weird to say, but, like, your identity means very little to the actual world at this point. No matter who you are, unless you're, like, one of the biggest people like Elon Musk or fucking something like that, your identity means basically nothing and has probably been stolen at least once, honestly, at this point. Your data's out there. Every big company has had at least one major data breach where all of their info got out there, and I guarantee you that your info was on at least one of those websites when it happened.
Meter accurate, weather tagged, angle diverse, metadata rich location data. Now, let's zoom into the technical side for a minute, because I think this is where it gets really interesting.
There was this dude way back in the day that I knew in high school, and he showed me this one time and he ended up going to jail for this and everything, so I feel like I can talk about it. But he showed me this website he was on where it was like part of the dark web, and he would get on this website, and And every second a new credit card number with all of its info and the person's like their house, their address, their name, all of this shit would just pop up constantly, new things. And he used this to buy pizzas. He would order a pizza. The what?
It's called.
I don't need to say the name. Oh, but he would get on here, and when one would pop up, he would have a pizza order already ready, a delivery pizza order, and he'd take the info real quick, slap it in, and if he didn't get it within 5 seconds, and I'm not exaggerating, the credit card would be drained, and there would be no money on it at all, and he'd have to pick a different credit card from the list that was popping up. That's how bad it is. People, and I'm saying like every single second, another one would pop up. I saw this one time when I was a kid, from this guy who ended up going to jail for it. But still, that's how bad it is, you know? Someone once tried to buy parts of trains in China with my identity. That was fun. Yeah. So your data is probably out there. They also have these things called skimmers. A skimmer is something you attach to a card reading device, and it just looks like another keypad on it. But what it does is it has a little, like, microchip in it, basically, where whenever you swipe your card and type in your number, it records all that data. And it's something that scammers will walk up and just slap it on top of a regular pay thing, like usually on a gas pump or something. So there's all kinds of ways for people to steal your money.
If you're a developer. What Niantic Spatial is building is what they call a large geospatial model. Think of it as the spatial equivalent
Thankfully,
of a large
my bank was like, what? And stopped it instantly, but then phoned me to ask. Yeah, that... Luckily, most banks will do that these days.
Model. Instead of predicting the next word in a sequence, it predicts your location from visual input.
Crazy.
You show it a photo of a building, and it tells you where in the world that building is with alarming accuracy. The reason
And yet, somehow, we still can't get good pathing in video games. What the fuck?
this works is because of how the training data was collected. Traditional mapping data sets give you one image per location, taken from a fixed height at one time. Pokemon Go's dataset gives you thousands of images per location, taken from every conceivable angle across every lighting and weather condition over the span of 8 years. That's the kind of diversity that makes machine learning models robust. A model trained on this data doesn't just recognize a building on a sunny afternoon, it recognizes it at dusk. In rain, partially obscured by temporary structures, from across the street, from the entrance, from anywhere. And the application...
Now most banks have that security, but a few years ago... I mean, so I've had buddies who've had that shit happen to them for sure. In fact, one time my grandpa went to go do his taxes at the end of the year, and they were like, well, whenever he put in his taxes, they go, what the hell? You already put in your taxes in California. Because someone had stolen his identity to work a job. An illegal immigrant had stolen his identity to work a job in California. And they used it to do taxes and everything. Like, crazy. It was a luxury thing out there? Damn.
Applications extend way beyond delivery robots. AR glasses need this kind of positioning to
by the
overlay
way,
digital content.
There was nothing they could do about it. And the person owed like $1,500. So he had to end up just paying $1,500 in taxes.
On the physical world. Autonomous vehicles need it for navigation in urban areas where GPS bounces off buildings. Construction companies need it for site mapping. Urban planners need it for infrastructure modeling. And if you're thinking this sounds a lot like something that would be very useful for surveillance, you're not wrong. Popular Science flagged exactly this in their coverage.
And that's why it's like, all right, so let's get into it a little bit. That's why whenever people say illegal immigration doesn't affect you, it's not bad, there are so many different levels to it. Like getting your identity stolen because you have to have a social security number to work a job in America. So either you're working super far under the table to where nobody ever sees you and you have no rights, in which case you're being severely abused and taken advantage of, or you've stolen someone's identity in order to work. Not only that, it lowers the value of the workforce. Like when there's this lady who owns a strawberry farm, and she came on whenever all this shit was happening, the crackdown on illegal immigration, and she said, oh, well, now I can't hire anybody to work my farm. I just can't do it. She's saying this from her second vacation home because it's not because she can't afford to pay Americans to do the job. It's because she doesn't want to. It's because she'd rather make all this extra money instead of paying Americans to do the job because she doesn't have to. That's the real, these are some of the main issues. Or look at housing. We have a housing crisis in America. There are 20 million houses that we're missing in America that we don't have that we need. Well, what the fuck? I mean, who do you think's living in these houses? Like, do you think that illegal immigrants aren't living in any of these houses? They are. Like, I don't know. I understand that they're real people too, but I also understand there's a process and there's the law, and it is putting regular Americans out and regular people out to accommodate this, what is illegal behavior, you know? That's why I don't blame immigrants that much. The real problem is still us. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's us all the way. Like, you can never blame somebody for taking advantage of a situation that was handed to them. If I was living in some country and I hated it there and my life was horrible, and I heard that I could run away to America and I didn't have to do any of the paperwork and I could just run there and I would be protected and my life would be better, I would do it 100% of the time, every single time. So you cannot blame the illegal immigrant for wanting to run to America. What you have to blame are the lawmakers and the people who are not making it more difficult and the people who are incentivizing the bad behavior. It's not the fault of the people who are doing it. I mean, it is, but not nearly as much as the people who are facilitating it. Us meaning the shitheads that prefer to scam other humans instead of being fair. That too, yeah. Yeah, people like that business lady who wants to take advantage of the immigrant rather than pay somebody a reasonable wage, you know? And then you think about, like, well, this person who has no rights, right? So whenever you're arguing for an illegal immigration for the sake of working on a farm, you are literally arguing for slavery, because that is someone who has no rights under the law. You can tell them for 5 months, oh, I'm going to pay you. I'm totally going to pay you. And then after the 5 months are up, you call it the immigration enforcement or just tell them you're not going to pay them. Like, and what can they do? They can't do anything about it. They have no legal recourse. Like this, there's so many levels to why it's not a good thing, past just someone being an asshole, you know? Past someone just being a racist or whatever. There's so many levels past that
can identify your precise location from a single photograph of your surroundings has obvious appeal to law enforcement and intelligence agencies. Niantic hasn't suggested any plans to provide...
That was a bit of a tangent.
...this data to authorities, but the capability exists. And the precedent for government access to commercial data products is well established.
Yeah.
This also isn't the first time we've seen this pattern. Google's reCAPTCHA had you clicking on traffic lights and crosswalks to prove you were human. What it was actually doing was training computer vision models for self-driving cars.
No way, dude. No fucking way. That's why it's always stuff on the street? What? Okay, that actually caught me off guard. I did not know that. What the fuck? So reCAPTCHA is always like buses and stop signs and stuff so that they can be training AI. It has nothing to do with actually... It's not trying to know you're a human. It's trying to create a robot. That's so fucking ironic, dude. What the fuck?
You were doing free labor for Waymo every time you identified a bicycle in a grid of photos.
Jesus.
Same playbook, useful task for the user, but the real purpose is dataset generation. Niantic just ran...
This is why, one of the many reasons why I hate corporations. Prove you're a human by training our robots to replace you. Yeah, exactly. Fucking exactly, dude. What the fuck? Holy shit.
And it for 8 years, at a scale of 30 billion images, across 143 million people at its peak. And this is the part that should actually make you uncomfortable. Not the technology, because that's kind of impressive. The consent model.
Yes.
When players opted into AR scans, they were presented with a game feature.
Yeah.
Scan this statue, get some items. Nobody was presented with, quote, your scan data will train a commercial AI product that will be licensed to robotics companies to navigate delivery robots on public sidewalks, built on a platform now partially owned by a Saudi sovereign wealth fund.
And here's the real issue, is the politicians who are allowing this to happen. Because if the politicians made this illegal, and if the politicians and the lawmakers and everything actually made these people take accountability for their bad actions, these bad actions would stop fucking happening. It's because they're allowing it. So these companies that are doing these things, yeah, they're evil. They're bad. But the bad people that are really bad, along with every other thing I've said, are the politicians who are allowing it to happen. It's always the fucking politicians. This is honestly why, and I'm not even lying, you guys, I almost applied for a senatorial chair and a senatorial chair in my state because I'm so sick of what's happening in politics that I almost got involved. I decided at the end of the day it wasn't worth it. But I did seriously consider trying to get involved in the political sphere just because I'm sick of it. Here in the heavy tourist zones, people hire on minimum wage from 8 in the morning to 0. Oh my god, that means 16 hours each day. Fuck that. Yeah, same boat. Yeah. I'm so sick of the politics here that I probably, in 5 years, I probably will be so sick of it that I will actually just become a politician. The problem is, once you become a politician, everybody hates you. And I'm not really a big fan of being hated by everybody. Some people, sure, but everybody, I don't know. That'll probably hurt my feelings.
The purpose changed, but the consent didn't. And this matters because of the precedent.
Running as an independent just so I could rant in official capacity. This is my platform, right? The platform that I will eventually run on will be the platform of pushing my opponents down to their death. A platform high enough to do that from. No, I'm kidding. No, but my real platform would be saying that I will go to Congress and call everybody names to their face. So you'll be silenced. Yeah, no, my whole actual thing is I want to go, like, if I was to run for Congress, I would literally run on the platform of going to Congress and telling other politicians to their face that they're stupid idiots and that everybody hates them. And that would be the only thing I really accomplished during my congressional period. Would be to just continuously tell the people next to me that everybody in America hates them and they're stupid. That would be my platform. For real, and I'm not even kidding. I think that they need to hear it. They know, but they don't care. They don't care now, but if they hear it every day, if they hear it every single day from a guy that they have to legally have to listen to, I bet that it'll start to eat away at them a little more than just some ethereal they that they never have to actually talk to or deal with. You know, it hurts a lot more whenever it's someone from inside of your group saying something than if it's someone from outside of your group saying it. But it would take time. But I think I could start a whole thing about it. I gotta close my door.
It sets. Every app on your phone with camera and
Fun fact, you can go to your town hall and just waste their time till they do something. Yeah, true. You can. And in Missouri, they actually did that where they tried to put in an AI data center, and the Missouri people said, fuck that, we're not having it. And they said, well, we're going to do it anyway. We don't care. So then they voted out every single member of that city council. And now they're trying to vote out the mayor. So that's pretty cool. You know, you can get stuff done if you care enough. You really can. And I just think people need to start caring more. Apathy is the death of society, you know?
GPS access is sitting on the same potential.
Make them watch your interpretive dance? Like that one dude who came in and break danced in the middle of the fucking courtroom?
This app knows your running routes. Your photo app has geotagged images of every place you've ever been. Your messaging app also has your location history. We've already seen what happens when this data leaks or gets repurposed. In 2018, Strava's heat map accidentally revealed the locations of secret military bases because soldiers were tracking their runs. The US Marine Corps had to issue guidance to Marines who played Pokemon Go.
That's crazy, dude. So this is a straight up, like, military problem. It's not just like some civilian issue. This is an actual national security threat, and they still haven't done anything about it. I'm curious what the bro watching me think.
About the same security implications. Can you imagine that conversation? The question isn't whether other companies will do what Niantic did. I can almost guarantee that other companies are doing this today. No one person can scroll through all the terms of service that they blindly accept.
Not true.
So it's easy for
Not true. I do it every single time I sign up for everything. And most of the shit is fucked up and you just kind of have to accept it. But there have been certain times where I've said no. I read every single terms of service I ever click on. That's just who I am. I think that's who everybody should be. It's crazy to not read the terms of service. I mean, when I saw that on South Park, I legit thought that they were, like, I thought Kyle was crazy. I thought Kyle was crazy for not reading the terms of service. Really, because I always do. I never did. Fair enough. I heard most people don't. I heard it's not a thing people do, which actually blew my mind when I found out about that.
Things like this to slip by. This is especially true because legal departments write the terms of service in legalese, making it nearly impossible for the everyday person.
This is the thing. It's very hard to understand what they're saying. So even though I read every terms of service, I feel like from a legal perspective, I cannot be held liable for anything that I've signed because it's written in a way that I can't understand purposefully. It's written in a purposeful way that I can't understand. And this has been proven true with several terms of service that have been found to be illegal for that exact reason. And for the plus reason that people just don't even read them most of the time. But even if they do, like I said, can't understand them. When we talk about internet stuff, when I sign a contract, that's different. Yeah.
Person to understand it. That means
when you sign a contract, it's different when you sign it in person. But when it's on the internet, it's usually not. It's something to deter people from thinking that they have any rights. But the truth is, most of these waivers that you sign online, these terms of service, mean basically nothing. The only thing it really means is that, hey, if we want to, we can take away the thing you paid for. That's usually what it's saying more than anything. What gets me is when they reference themselves, like, see X under section X. Yeah. And you get to that section and it references another section. It drives me insane. Yes, that drives me fucking nuts. And it happens all the time. And it's specifically written to make it difficult to read. It's specifically written to be obfuscating. And that's why I think that it should be illegal too. See, it's not like they are unable to write it in a way that you could understand easily. It's not like they're incapable of that. They're doing this on purpose. And when you're doing something malicious on purpose, the law should protect against that. That's why the government fucks me up so much. It literally loops to create loopholes. Yeah, exactly. And that's why most of them are just found to be not legally enforceable most of the time. Unless it's something like this where it's like, hey, you agreed to let us use your data. It's like, well, yeah, I guess we did. Like,
question is actually, will they tell you when they do what Niantic did? Because stuff like this works.
The problem really is, though, like I said, the government allowing this to happen. It's not you, it's not me, it's not the guy taking advantage of us, and it's not the corporation using the systems that they were given. It's the politicians who are taking the paycheck from these corporations and from these large business entities and people who have tons of money. These politicians taking this money and fucking over everybody around them for a quick check, for a quick buck, so that their family can live a little more comfortably at the expense of everyone else around them.
Gamify the data collection, bury the terms in a privacy policy nobody reads, and by the time anyone notices, you've got 30 billion images and a $3.5 billion exit. The most valuable AI training datasets in the world aren't being assembled in data centers. They're being built by people who have no idea.
By the way, the data centers, they finally gave up. The corporations are finally starting to understand that we don't fucking want this and that it's bullshit. And you know what's crazy? Within a couple of weeks of them finding out about that, they somehow magically managed to figure out how to put these AI data centers in the ocean to where they cost no money to us because the waves will generate the energy and the water will cool it down. So basically, they already knew that they didn't have to suck up all our energy and they didn't have to pollute our water to do this, and they just wanted to. They just fucking wanted to do it. They had no reason to do it. They just wanted to, because I fully do not believe that within a couple of weeks they developed a whole new way to run these data centers that's like revolutionary. Like, no, they didn't. No fucking way. I don't believe it.
Tell me what you think. Did you play Pokemon Go? Did you do the AR scans? Let me know in the comments if this changes how you think about it.
So this was a really good video. I like this guy, Nick Vogel. It didn't feel like a lot of YouTubers will do a lot of dumb shit where it feels like they're kind of trying to scam you into watching for some reason instead of just making an interesting video. This guy didn't do that. This guy did his research. He made an amazing video. Highly recommended. Nick Vogel. Amazing.